Let's broaden this out now by talking to an international affairs analyst, Bola Adediro, who is joining me from London via Skype to discuss the Taliban takeover in Afghanistan. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Adediro. The U.S.
Thank you for having
failed.
me.
The U.S. failed in its prediction about how long it would take for the Taliban to take over Afghanistan, which was thought to be 6 months. But this soon happened earlier than they thought. What's your reading of the developments in Afghanistan?
Well, I think the mistakes started from 2018 when the discussions and the negotiations with the Taliban was being had in Doha, and the Afghan national government was not represented in that talk. I think that those were the early mistakes that the U.S. made, and I think the other part of the problem was that the U.S. really underestimated the capacity of the Afghan National Security Services, the police force, and the National Army, and underestimated the capacity of the Taliban to enter negotiations with local tribal leaders and to get and to galvanize that kind of national sense of patriotism and to move forward in terms of securing regions and local areas to move forward and to push territories. I think there was a massive underestimation of the capacity of the Taliban and the willingness of the Afghan people to embrace the Taliban. So there were a lot of mistakes made by the U.S. government that led to this result.
Well, the Taliban are there now, as we can see, but the Taliban have also declared amnesty in the country, urging government officials to resume their duties and inviting women to participate in governance. Are we looking at a less tolerant Taliban different from that of the 2001 Taliban?
Yes, I think the Taliban has definitely led because from 1996 to 2001, when they ruled Afghanistan, they had a more conservative approach to politics and approach to both cultural and religious and social life. Women, as you said in your report, were banned from working. They were also banned from going out without a male escort. There were a lot of very restrictive policies that they had in place. But it is very clear for the Taliban now that it has to moderate its excesses. One of the ways that it has done that now, and it's one of the ways it's seeking international legitimacy, is to say that compared to the 5 or 6 years when we ruled, we are going to allow women to work. We are going to allow women to go to school. We remember that Malala was shot by the Taliban in Pakistan. So there is a sense in which they are doing all of these things to gain international legitimacy. The question, obviously, is that how will this last? How long will this last? And is this actually reflective of their change in strategy? Or is this just a cover-up for something else? To gain international legitimacy and then to go back to their old ways. So these are very interesting questions, obviously.
Right. Let's try to bring this home a little bit. President Buhari, in his latest ruminations about the development in Afghanistan, is worried about Africa becoming the next front line for terrorism. How do you relate this to the terroristic acts of some insurgents in Africa, especially the Boko Haram and ISWAP in Nigeria?
Well, I think that what is most interesting about this, I'll approach this question from two perspectives. First is to realize that the Western-centric approach to counterterrorism obviously does not work. The West has shown us over and over again, from Libya to Syria, even to Afghanistan to Iraq, that the approach to counterterrorism that focuses overly on military strategies and predominant weapons and technologies to address terrorist problems does not work. So we have to look inwards and find strategies that can appease or address, not necessarily appease, but address local insurgency in our situation. I think that with the other part of it, what it opens up is that there is always a possibility to have discussions and negotiations. Before 2018, the Taliban were mortal enemies that would not be negotiated with in any rational way. The US showed us that they could actually have robust negotiations with a mortal enemy. So we should not think that go with the standard rhetoric that we should not ever have negotiations for the sake of peace. So I think that this is one interesting perspective that we can learn from this scenario, that for the sake of peace, we have to find very local solutions. And some of those local solutions could involve diplomacy and talks. And I hope that the president is looking at these situations in the northeast of Nigeria from that particular angle.
Absolutely. We'll see how, and we keep hoping and see how all of these things will pan out, and the situation in Afghanistan, how it's going to be like in the coming days. Thank you so much for speaking with us, International Affairs Analyst Bola Didiro. Thank you.
Thank you very much.